In this Prezi, I'm going to talk about the learning theories, who the main theorists that we have discussed are, and how these theorists are beneficial in the classroom, starting with behaviorism. Behaviorism is the gaining of new behavior through conditioning. There are two types of conditioning, classical and operant. Classical is where the behavior becomes a reflex response to stimulus. Operant is when there is a reinforcement of the behavior by rewards or punishments. John Locke was the forerunner of behaviorism. His theory of learning begins with his idea of tabula rasa, which is another term for blank slate. Locke believed that every child was born with a blank slate, meaning they are born without any knowledge. He believed that all knowledge comes from experience. Then there was E.L. Thorndike, who did a behavioral study where he would imprison a cat, and inside there would be a lever the cat could activate to help the cat get out. Every time the cat touches the lever, the cat would be able to get out. After a while, the cat was able to get out right away. He contributed by figuring out that there has to be a pre existing reflex linking natural stimulus and response. Learning can only be built on by substituting the regular stimulus with the new one. That was similar to B.F. Skinner, who discovered that an action does not have to be rewarded every time it occurs. He did an experiment with rats that proved if they were rewarded frequently, but at random, they are more likely to continue to do the action. If he rewarded the rats every time and stopped, they would soon stop doing the action at all. Now, constructivism. Constructivism is a theory of knowledge that's gained from experiences and ideas to contribute in the building of knowledge. I'm going to focus on social and psychological constructs. Social constructivists are mainly concerned with the public's bodies of knowledge. They believe knowledge construction within the disciplines is a social activity. The psychological constructivists focus on how learning happens in individuals and how knowledge structures are constructive. Vygotsky looked closely at a student's psychological development and the potential a student may have in learning. He focused on what a child could achieve when they have help from parents or role models. Two kids with the same IQ but have challenged differently in life, which can cause a different learning development. Each student is able to continue to grow and development. Vygotsky explains that psychological tools help us learn about others in real-world situations. Another big part of child learning is by imitation. By observing and being able to imitate, the child is developing higher mental functions. This perspective of learning is almost the exact opposite of what Jean Piaget believes. Piaget believed that every person's knowledge has the same structural features, and the reason we make similar constructions is because we are handling the same reality. Piaget insists that all children in the world go through the same developmental sequence. We'll look at the cognitive side of Piaget soon. Then there was John Dewey, who was also a theorist of constructivism. He compared making a discipline similar to studying a map. The discipline has key features that can help a learner to gain more knowledge. If you have a general idea of the layout, you can learn the details more willingly, just like a map. Now, on to cognitivism. Cognitivism is an understanding of short-term and long-term memory. Cognitive researchers view learning as an internal mental process where the educator focuses on building intelligence. The individual learner is more important than the environment. Cognitivism is a process of acquiring and storing new information. Students are able to learn new information from either previous experiences or by accident. Piaget is also a theorist on cognitivism. He believed that children learn by doing and exploring. He claimed that children construct an understanding of what's around them and experience differences between what they know and what they discover in the environment. Dewey has similar beliefs. He believes in the problem-solving perspective, which involves active thinking and learning. The brain is physically and mentally engaged in the problem and how to solve it. How certain people problem solve comes with past experiences and knowledge. They can only use what they know to figure out the problem. He advocated for activity methods in the classrooms and for problems to be meaningful. He believed that unless a student has struggled with the problems personally or has an opportunity to use the information, the lesson will go to useless memory and it won't be used. All of these learning theories contribute to teachers teaching students the best they can. For behaviorism, B.F. Skinner has helped. If you want a student to do something, then they should be rewarded every once in a while. Then they will continue to do it in hopes of being rewarded again. E.L. Thorndike, when you are teaching a subject, it needs to be repeated a few times for the students to understand it. They can practice it and soon they'll have a natural response of how to do it. Also, if simple rules in the classroom are repeated, Students will listen and follow directions in hopes they may be rewarded. For constructivism, Piaget can improve teaching because any serious teacher will not ignore the fact that students may develop through stages, which means students may not have developed the logical knowledge to finish certain problems, and the teachers need to adjust. Also, a learner that hasn't experienced certain events may lack fundamental concepts, and teachers must understand this. For Vygotsky, if teachers realize that each student is able to continue to grow and develop, then they can push the students more of because they are capable of it. For Dewey, teachers want students to transfer what they have learned in the class to real-world situations. Let them freely explore but within a given structure. They should have an understanding of transfer learning and be able to make connections between old and new lessons. Guide students and give them real problems. Lastly, teach students how to ask a question. Have them figure out how to use prior knowledge in order to solve a problem. Now, cognitivism. For Dewey, teachers want their students to be able to apply their knowledge successfully in the future. In order to strengthen mental abilities, you must have deep study in one or more difficult and abstract disciplines. This understanding will be useful to teachers because students need to have cognitive structures in order to make connections between old and new ideas. Teachers should start a new lesson and explain it with detail, examples, and illustrations to teach the class. And lastly, Piaget. Students learn by doing and exploring. Teachers need to give them lessons that are useful outside of school. Teachers should challenge the child's ability, but not present material or information that is too far beyond the child's level. All of these theories try to explain what is best for the child and how experiences can shape their development and way of living.